Hello everyone. From today onwards, we can have the next video series, that is the data structures. And now we are discussing in this video about the data structures using C and C++. Mm, Let us start with our new video and actual content now. Okay. In this video, we can discuss about the introduction and the overview of the data structures and what is meant by asymptotic notations. Asymptotic notations depends on the algorithms. We can calculate the asymptotic notations on algorithms, and what is meant by data structure and types of data structures, one dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, pointer arrays, etc. And we can cover the linked list in next video. Let's get start with our actual content. Algorithm. First of all, we can know all of you know about the what is meant by algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving the given problem, and we can solve the given problem in the finite number of steps. We can divide each and every problem into some finite problems. Also, we can divide the actual problem into bits and parcels of small problems, and then we can write the answers to, and we can club them into the output. We can club all the outputs, and we can give the final output also. In this way also we can write the algorithms. Okay. um, when we go with the characteristics of the algorithms, zero or more quantities are the externally supplied. We can take the more quantities or less quantities, zero quantities, etc. And output may be the at least one quantity, and each instruction is in a clear format, that is nothing but the definiteness, and we have to give the finite answer with a finite number of steps. And effectiveness, every instruction must be in a basic format, then we can understand the well. Let us consider an example. Addition of two numbers, it's a basic example. Start. First of all, each and every algorithm will start with the start statement and end with the end statement. And now we are reading the two values a and b. C is equal to a plus b. We are calculating the sum and print the sum of a and b, that is the c value. Then we can end the algorithm. Likewise, we can write the algorithm. And performance of an algorithm can be efficient and fast. If it takes less time to execute and consume less memory space, then the performance of the algorithm is based on these properties, that is space complexity and time complexity. Total amount of computer memory required to store an algorithm is nothing but the space complexity of an algorithm. Time complexity of an algorithm is the total amount of time required to complete the execution of an algorithm, that is nothing but the time complexity of an algorithm. And depending on the size of the input requirements, complexity can be varied. For suppose, let us consider an simple example. If we have given the large number, the large in number of inputs, then addition also takes the more time. If we calculate a plus b only, then it gives the answers in the fraction of seconds. If we consider c is equal to a plus b plus d plus e plus f plus g, like that, then addition also it takes the some more time than the previous problem. Likewise, input varies, the input requirements, size of the input requirements varies the complexity of the problem anamata. And next we are going with the basic case analysis. And best case analysis is nothing but the algorithm takes the minimum number of computation, then it is the best case analysis. And minimum input parameters is also a best case analysis. When we go with maximum number of input computation, then it is called the worst case analysis. The algorithm takes the average number of steps, then it is called the average case analysis. These analyses can be computed mathematically represented by the asymptotic notations. Asymptotic notations are the mathematical notations we use it to specify the time complexity and space complexity in some format anamata, some appropriate format. We have the 5 asymptotic notation. Mainly we will use the big O notation, omega notation, theta notation, sometimes little O notation. Omega notation is the just omega notation also we can use that rarely. We use mainly about the big O notation. When we go with big O notation, it is used to define the upper bound of the algorithm in terms of the time complexity. That means the big O notation is always indicates the maximum number of steps required by the algorithm for taking the all inputs. And then that means the big O notation describes the worst case analysis of the complexity. Let us consider an function of the big O notation. F of n is equal to big O of g of n if and only if there exists the positive constant c and no such f of n is less than or equal to c star g of n for all non-zero n for all n and n greater than n naught anamata. This is nothing but the n naught, n suffix 0. This can be shown in the graph. Let us consider an example for this big O notation. Prove that 3n plus 2 is equal to big O of n. Then we can assume 3n plus 2 is less than or equal to 4n, because 3n plus 2 have given. Then we can take as the 3n plus 2 is less than or equal to 4n. Now we are considering let n is equal to 1. Then we can substitute the n value in the above equation. 3n plus 2 is less than or equal to 4n. 3n 3 into 1 3 plus 2 5. 5 less than or equal to 4. False statement. Now we are taking n is equal to 2. Here we are using the trial and error method. 3 into 2 6 plus 2 8. 8 less than or equal to 8. True. Here less than or equal to condition. Then it's a true. N is equal to 3. 11 less than or equal to 12. It's true. For this c is equal to 4. G of n equal to n. K is equal to 2. You can state like that. Omega notation. Omega notation can be represented by this symbol. Omega notation is used to define the lower bound of an algorithm in terms of the time complexity. That means the big O notation, big omega notation describes the best case of an algorithm of the time complexity. The function f of n is equal to omega of g of n if and only if there exists the positive constants c and n naught such that f of n is greater than c star g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught. Let us see the function for a while. Here we can see the function. There is a small difference between the big O notation and big omega notation. There f of n is less than or equal to c star g of n for all n less than or equal to n naught. Here f of n is greater than or equal to c sorry, c star g of n for all n comma n greater than or equal n less than or equal to n naught. This is the major difference between the big O notation and big omega notation. Here we can consider the graph can be shown like this. We can see the we can prove that 3 of n plus 2 is equal to omega of n. Then 3 of n plus 2 is greater than or equal to 3n. There we have considered the 4n. Here 3n. And n is equal to 1, then it could be the true. N equal to 2, this is not true, and so on. This is true and so on. From this we can say that C is equal to 3, G of n is equal to n, K equal to 1. Now we are moving with the big theta notation. Big theta notation is used to define the average bound of an algorithm. Previously we go with omega notation, we will see the best case notation. Big O notation we see with the worst case notation. Now we are going with the theta notation. It lies between the big O and the omega notations, like this. When we go with function of this, f of n is equal to theta of g of n if and only if there is the condition c1 star g of n is less than or equal to f of n is less than or equal to c2 star g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught. The graphical representation of this is shown below. Likewise, here also we are taking the same example. 3n plus 2 is equal to theta of n. Now we can assume that 3n is less than or equal to 3n plus 2 less than or equal to 4n. n is equal to 1. Case may be false. For n is equal to 2, case may be true. Case is true. n is equal to 3, case is true. From this we can say that C1 is equal to 3, C2 is equal to 4, G of n is equal to n, K equal to 2. Little O notation. Little O notation, we can calculate the little O notation by using this function. F of n is equal to little O of G of n if and only if limit n tends to infinity, f of n, G of n is equal to theta. Little omega notation can be denoted by this symbol. F of n is equal to little omega of g of n if and only if limit n tends to infinity, g of n into f of n is equal to theta. Here we can see the major difference between the little o and the little omega notations here. F of n into g of n is equal to theta, then it is called the little o notation. If g of n into f of n is equal to theta, then it is called the little omega notation. The common asymptotic notations for constants, it's the big O of 1. Logarithms, big O of n, log n. Linear functions, big O of n. N log n, big O of n log n. Quadratic expressions, big O of n square. Cubic notations, big O of n cube. Polynomial, n power, big O of 1. Exponential, 2 power n. Likewise, we can represent the asymptotic notations. Now we are moving to the topic data structures. Data structure is a method of organizing the large amount of data into more efficient way. That is nothing but we can easily organize those by using those methods. Data structures are two types. One is linear data structures and another one is non-linear data structures. Linear data structures are arrays, linked list, stack, queues. When we go with non-linear data structures, trees, graphs, tables, sets. Linear data structures organize the data in a sequential order. They follow some sequence anamata. And we can consider these example, linked list example. Non-linear, when we go with non-linear structure, non-linear data structure is organized in random order. That data structure is called the non-linear data structure. Example of the non-linear data structure is the tree. Okay. Next topic, arrays. Arrays is a collection of homogeneous or the similar type of data items. These type of data items may be the characters, integers, floats, etc. These elements can be stored in a successful memory location. It follows the continuous memory locations, continuous format. And these array name can be followed by one or more subscripts, which each subscript is enclosed with the square brackets. Likewise, it's how the array name is followed by the square braces. Within the square braces we can have the subscripts. Number of subscripts determines the dimensions of the array. We have a single dimensional arrays, double dimensional arrays, or the two dimensional arrays, multi-dimensional arrays, etc. When we go with single dimensional arrays or the one dimensional arrays, it have the only one subscript. These example shows the one dimensional array. Here we can say that here we have represented the value, but in case we can say that int a of m also. Int a of m, then m is the size of the array. That one dimensional array can be defined as the one dimensional array is the collection of m homogeneous data type. We have to consider we have main constraint, that is arrays holds the homogeneous data elements, and it has the same data type elements within that array name. And one more thing we have to consider, each and every array is allocated in a continuous memory. The declaration of an one dimensional array is the syntax of the array. Data type, it may be integer, float, and whatever the primitive data type, any primitive data type, space, array name of size. Example, int x of 5. For this example, the memory allocation will be likewise. Index values can occupy, we have given the 5 value, so the memory index values can consider as 0 to 4, that is 5 values. Every index starts from, when we go with C language or C++, Java, array index starts from the 0 to n minus 1. Here we have considered the n value, size value may be n or m. If it is n, then it takes as 0 to n minus 1 values. Here we have given integer value. Integer will take, each block will consist of the 2. So 1000, 1002, 1004, 1006, 1008, likewise. It, in memory, it is allocated like this. We can initialize the elements of an array in the same way. Data type, array name of size is equal to list of values. Int k of 4 equal to 10, 20, 30, 40. Or we can read from the terminal also. Let us consider an example program by using C language. #include stdio.h, #include conio.h. If necessary, we can include the math.h. Main int n, we have declared some variables. Enter the number of elements to be stored in the given array. We are printing the number of elements should be entered in the array, and we are reading the array size, and we are reading the array elements over here, printing the array elements. By using for loop only we can read and write the array elements, because within the one variable we are storing the some number of variables, that's why. Next we are moving with the double dimensional array or two dimensional array. If the array name followed by the two subscript, then that is called the two dimensional array. Examples of the two dimensional array are the matrix in maths. Syntax may be data type space array name size 1 and size 2. For example, int x of 3 comma x of 3 4. For this, memory allocation will be like this in a tabular format. Two dimensional array can also be the double dimensional arrays or square or matrix or tabular arrays. Initialization of the double dimensional array can be like this. Int of k2 of 2 3 equal to square braces of 2 square braces of 3 is equal to 10 20 30 40 50 60. Then we can say 2 rows 3 columns. Here we can say that it is the rows and columns. We can write program like this. It's a C language program. Each and every program which should start with the hash include header session. Header session should consist of the header files and followed by the header files followed by the if there exist and global variables and all. Then we can write the global variables over there. Then we will go with the main section. Main section consists of the actual code. After that we can write the functions. Here it is the simple double dimensional array program, and we can clearly say that we are reading the row size and column size and the array elements over here. Here we are using the two for loops to read the array elements. Because why? Because it's a double dimensional array. For single dimensional array we can use the only single for loop. For double dimensional arrays we can use the two for loops. For printing the array elements also we can use the two for loops. Next we are going with the multi-dimensional arrays. If an array consists of the two or more subscripts, then that is called the multi-dimensional arrays. We can say that int of k of 2 comma 2 3 4. Initialization will be like this. It's we can say that triple dimensional array is the tabular format or three dimensional arrays. We can write the program like this. Here we are reading the elements of an array by using it is a three dimensional array. For that we can read the three dimensional array by using the three for loops. Here we are printing the three dimensional array. We have given the static values. We are printing the values. For printing the values we have used the three for loops. By using the three for loops we can operate them. We can print the three dimensional array. Okay, the various operations that can be performed on the arrays, those are nothing but the insertion, deletion, traversing, sorting, searching, merging, etc. For adding the new element into the array, we can delete the elements from the array. We can traverse from left to right or right to left, and we can search the element. We can merge the two arrays. Okay, when we go with operations like insertion operation, algorithm would be like this. We can insert the element within that position. We can insert the array. For I is equal to I turns to n minus 1, to position pos minus 1, do step decrement by minus 1, a of I plus 1 turns to a of I. Then we can end the element. Here we are inserting 30 element in the third index location. Then we can insert the element here over here. 3. Third location means 3 minus 1, 2. Second location, second index value, we can write the element, we can insert the element. Similarly, we can delete the element, delete of 3, then we can delete the third location, third index value, then we can delete the third element in the array, that is n minus 2, 3 minus 2, sorry 3 minus 1, 2. Second location element can be we can display the particular element by printing a of I. All the elements can be displayed, or one element can be displayed also. And the applications of the arrays, it is the most used data structures. It is used to the very possible situations. We can implement by using arrays, we can implement the stacks, queues, etc. Other data structures also. Advantages of the arrays are they can represented in the 2D matrices. Similar data types can be grouped under the one name. It allows the random accessing of the elements. It can be used to implement the other data structures like stack, queue, etc. When we go with disadvantages, it mandatory to determine the size of the array. Array size is static, etc.